Ethan Cross was a name that lived in the spotlight. He was one of the most famous actors in America, his face plastered on billboards and gracing late-night talk shows. People thought they knew him, the charming smile, the easy confidence. But they didn't know the real Ethan, and they certainly didn't know about the thing that was waiting for him, just on the other side of the mirror. It began subtly, so subtly that he almost missed it. One night, after a draining shoot in Los Angeles, Ethan was in the bathroom of his Hollywood Hills mansion. The house was silent, wrapped in the quiet hum of the city below. He lifted his hand to wipe the exhaustion from his face, and for a split second, his reflection didn't move with him. It just stayed still, then it caught up. Ethan froze, his heart pounding against his ribs. He leaned in, scrutinizing his reflection. Everything seemed normal. Same tired eyes, same faint scar on his jaw from a stunt gone wrong. He let out a shaky breath and laughed it off. Just need some sleep, he muttered to himself. But sleep didn't fix it. In the days that followed, the strange delays became more frequent. His reflection would smile a moment after he did, or blink just a fraction of a second too late. Sometimes it looked almost curious, like it was studying him instead of just mimicking him. Ethan kept it to himself. He couldn't tell his assistant, his manager, or, God forbid, the tabloids. In his world, any sign of weakness was a story waiting to explode. Weeks turned into a month, and the delays grew longer, more noticeable. One evening, he was alone in his bedroom, practicing lines in front of his mirror for an intense, dark scene. He delivered the final line, his voice a low, rehearsed tremble, but his reflection, it didn't stop. It kept mouthing words, silent words that weren't in the script. Ethan stumbled back, crashing into his bed, his chest tight with a sudden, suffocating fear. He stared at the glass. The reflection was still again, perfectly copying his panicked posture. When he finally dared to approach, the mirror felt cold and solid under his fingertips, but nothing felt normal anymore. That night, sleep was a battlefield. When he finally drifted off, he dreamed of endless hallways lined with mirrors like doors, and a soft, persistent knocking coming from the other side of the glass. The change in him didn't go unnoticed. His assistant, Mara, mentioned he seemed distracted on set. His director complained he looked hollow. Fans on social media started commenting that his smile seemed off, forced. "You seem distant," Mara told him one morning between takes. "Are you okay?" Ethan forced a grin. "Just tired," he lied. The truth was far worse. He was terrified to look at himself, but he couldn't stop. Soon, the reflection started leading instead of following. When Ethan reached for his coffee, the reflection's hand was already there. When he turned his head, the reflection was already looking at him. Then, one night, it finally spoke. It was after 3 a.m, the house utterly silent. Ethan stood before the bathroom mirror, his hands trembling. "Who are you?" he whispered. The reflection smiled before he did. Then a voice, not from its moving lips, but from inside the glass, from inside his own head, answered. "You!" Ethan scrambled backward in pure horror. "That's impossible." The figure in the mirror stepped closer to the glass, and the surface rippled like water. "You look too long," it whispered. "You showed me how to be you?" In a blind panic, Ethan grabbed a lamp and hurled it at the mirror. Glass exploded across the floor. But even in the shattered pieces, he could see it. In every shard, a fragment of the reflection was still there, smiling up at him. From that night on, the takeover began. People started to notice small, unsettling changes in him. The way he held himself was different. His voice had a colder edge. He started forgetting things, precious memories that should have been unforgettable. The sound of his mother's laugh, the scent of his childhood home, the face of his first love. Meanwhile, the reflection grew stronger, smarter, more complete. Ethan tried everything. He covered mirrors, broke them, avoided them at all costs. But any dark surface became a gateway. He would see it watching him from the screen of his phone, from a darkened window, from the black surface of his TV, practicing his expressions, absorbing his memories. Then came the lost time. He would blink and hours would be gone. Sometimes entire days would vanish. He'd wake up in places he didn't remember going to, with unexplained bruises on his hands, and text messages on his phone that he had no memory of sending. His reflection wasn't just copying him anymore. It was learning how to live. Mara was the first one to truly sense the deep wrongness of it all. "You didn't come home last night," she said one afternoon, her eyes narrowed with worry. "And you don't remember calling me at 2 a.m, crying?" "I didn't call you," Ethan insisted weakly. Mara slid her phone across the table and pressed play. It was his voice shaking, terrified, begging for help. A call he had absolutely no memory of making. That same night he found it, the final piece of the puzzle. Hidden away in a rarely used guest bathroom was a full-length wall mirror he'd completely forgotten about. He stood before it, dread chilling him to the bone. This time, the reflection was already there waiting. It wasn't pretending to copy him anymore. It moved freely, its expression calm and proprietary. "You're fading," it said, its voice resonating in his mind. "That's how this works. The more people see me, the less they remember you." The horrible truth crashed down on him. Every interview he couldn't recall, every public appearance where people said he seemed different, it was the reflection. It wasn't just taking over his image in the mirror. It was taking his place in the real world. In a desperate frenzy, Ethan attacked the glass with anything he could find. Chairs, tools, his own fists until they were bloody and raw. The reflection barely reacted, a faint pitying smile on its face. "You can't kill a door," it whispered. "Only what comes through it." In a final act of terrified defiance, Ethan did the only thing he could think of to stop it. He had to stop being seen. He locked himself in the deepest, darkest room in his mansion, a windowless storage room in the basement. No light, no reflective surfaces. He cut off all contact. No phone, no TV, no cameras. Days bled into weeks. In the suffocating darkness, his memories blurred into nothing. He couldn't even remember what his own face looked like. His own voice sounded alien to him. Meanwhile, above ground, the world went on as if nothing had happened. Ethan Cross was still on TV, still giving interviews, still smiling for the cameras on red carpets. The reflection had won. A year later, the mansion was sold. Ethan Cross had been officially declared a missing person. The police found no body, no signs of a struggle, just one bizarre discovery. Sealed behind a wall in the basement, they found a man curled on the floor in total darkness. He was alive, but barely. His eyes were wide and vacant, having never learned the shape of his own face. When detectives asked for his name, he could only whisper, "I think I used to be someone." At that very same moment, miles away, cameras flashed as the actor Ethan Cross smiled for his adoring fans. And in the countless mirrors held up by the crowd, his reflection smiled first. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. Stay safe and maybe don't stare into the mirror for too long.